Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Just a few days ago in the distant country of Paraguay, an overwhelming wave of anger and outrage swept through the community when a charred body was found in an open field. It's true that crimes happen every day, but this case shocked people because the victim had only one name. Yet in reality, there were 2 lives lost, including the unborn child she was carrying. Even more heartbreaking, the young woman had not yet reached adulthood. So why, at the most beautiful age of youth, was she carrying a tiny life inside her? And why was she so cruelly murdered? Who had the audacity to commit such a heinous act here? Today, let's join me until the end of this video as we uncover the heartbreaking truths behind a murder case that shook the entire country of Paraguay. And if you want to keep following other thrilling crime stories, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any videos. On the evening of Saturday, May 31st, a local resident happened to notice something unusual in an open lot next to an abandoned house in the Villa del Mastro neighborhood. In the dim light, the person saw a pile of ashes and partially burned branches. Beneath them, patches resembling charred bones and flesh were visible. Horrified, they immediately called out to neighbors and alerted the police. Just minutes later, investigators arrived and confirmed that it was a human body almost completely burned. The scene reeked of scorched odors, with dry grass and surrounding trash also singed. Signs indicated that the killer had deliberately used natural materials like dry grass and garbage to dispose of the body. When forensic experts and prosecutor Klaus Torres arrived, even the most seasoned among them were shaken. The victim's body was completely blackened and deformed, reduced mostly to brittle charcoal, making immediate identification impossible. No papers or personal items were found. Everything linked to the victim's identity seemed to have been destroyed by fire. In addition, the killer had covered the ashes with branches and dry leaves as if to hide the body under natural debris. However, one small detail caught the police's attention. Beside the body lay an abandoned wheelbarrow with wheel tracks stretching from the yard of the opposite house to the open lot. This strongly suggested that the body had been transported from that house. Could that empty house be the actual crime scene? This puzzling question pushed investigators to dig into every corner of the truth. The scene was sealed off that very night. Police began knocking on doors around the area to gather information. Some neighbors reported that in recent days they had noticed a strange smell but assumed someone was burning trash. It was only when the body was discovered that the shocking truth emerged. Everyone was terrified at the thought that a cold-blooded murderer might be hiding somewhere in their peaceful neighborhood. But soon a clue surfaced. On May 28th, a family in Coronel Oviedo had reported to the police that their 17-year-old daughter had mysteriously gone missing. In addition, a red motorcycle without a license plate was found near the house, in front of the open lot. It matched the description of the motorcycle last seen being used by the missing girl. Even more telling, the motorcycle was registered under the name of the father of a teenage boy living right in the neighborhood. This immediately heightened tension at the scene, as it seemed highly likely that the charred body was the missing girl, and the prime suspect was very close by. Investigators quickly narrowed their focus to the main suspect, the 17-year-old boyfriend of the girl believed to be the last person to see her before she disappeared. At this point, police had not yet publicly identified the victim, even withholding details such as gender and age from the media, to prevent false speculation. However, many sharp-eyed locals quickly connected the dots and suspected that the tragic victim was none other than 17-year-old Maria Fernanda Benitez. The news stunned neighbors, as Maria had always been seen as a well-behaved student who never caused trouble. What could have possibly led her to such a tragic fate? To uncover the truth, we have to rewind the clock and follow the investigation from just a few days earlier. On the afternoon of May 28th, Maria Fernanda's mother walked into the local police station to report that her daughter had been missing for over a day. Gladys, the on-duty prosecutor, immediately opened a file and activated the missing person procedure. Soon after local police gave their initial assessment, Maria might have left home with her boyfriend, or perhaps suffered an accident. But by the morning of May 29th, A report from the regional station revealed a shocking new detail: Maria had borrowed money from classmates to seek an abortion. Upon hearing this, prosecutor Torrales began to suspect her disappearance might be linked to an unlicensed clinic. The team's search led to information that Maria had been seen at the Antonio Fabian clinic in the city on the afternoon of May 27th. By the evening of May 29th, police carried out a raid on the clinic at 8:30 p.m. They did not find Maria but seized the security camera's recording device for forensic review. They quickly discovered that footage from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on May 27th, exactly the suspected time frame, was missing. Investigators immediately suspected the clinic owner had deleted the files. That night, using specialized investigative measures, authorities concluded that the clinic was indeed connected to Maria's disappearance, and that her boyfriend was very likely involved. On the morning of May 30th, one of Maria's closest friends came forward to tell police everything she knew. She revealed that Maria was pregnant by her boyfriend and that she had advised Maria against terminating the pregnancy on May 26th. She also disclosed that the boyfriend had a close female friend, 19 years old, named Micaela. Prosecutors immediately obtained a search warrant for the teenager's home. When officers arrived, his parents said he was away. Still, police carried out the search, seizing the DVR from the home's security cameras and several personal items belonging to both the teen and his family. After some hesitation, the boy's mother admitted that her son was the father of Maria's unborn child. She insisted he was innocent, but voluntarily handed over a cell phone he often used for online classes. That phone turned out to be the key to the case. On it, police found a disturbing exchange of messages between the suspect and Micaela, discussing harmful methods for ending the pregnancy, and even what to do afterward. All of these messages remained intact in their chat history. This was undeniable proof that the crime had been premeditated, with Micaela clearly acting as an instigator and accomplice. It also meant Maria's life was in imminent danger. Authorities immediately issued an emergency arrest warrant for Micaela Rolon on charges of incitement to commit harm. However, when police arrived at her home that night, Micaela had already fled. By the evening of May 31st, the worst-case scenario became reality. Maria Fernanda's remains were discovered in a remote open field. Realizing there was no way to escape the investigation, the 17-year-old male suspect returned home later that same evening, asking to surrender. His family immediately called lawyer Enric for assistance. According to the lawyer, the boy sat calmly, showing no fear, while his parents were in tears. The teen quietly admitted to Enric that he had harmed Maria. Shocked by the severity of the case, the lawyer refused to defend him, advising the family to hand him over to police immediately, and to have him name all accomplices given the seriousness of the crime. However, investigators had text messages that proved he had planned the murder. When confronted with this gruesome evidence, the teenager could only bow his head in silence, unable to deny it. He was formally charged with femicide, murder of a woman for sexual motives, and with intentional abortion resulting in death. Since he was only 17, he would be prosecuted under juvenile law. At the same time, the police were actively searching for Micaela Rolon, an accomplice who was on the run. On June 1, 2025, Interpol also got involved because they were concerned that Micaela might have crossed the border. Fortunately, in the afternoon of the same day, the police caught her while hiding at a friend's house outside the city. At the investigation agency, Micaela denied it, saying that she did not want to harm anyone, she was just joking in the text messages. But the evidence was too clear, so she was prosecuted for the crimes of inciting murder, inciting to commit a crime, participating in a criminal conspiracy, and failing to report a crime. These are all very serious crimes under Paraguayan law. After apprehending the two main suspects in the murder of Maria Fernanda Benitez, the investigation shifted to tracking other accomplices. Ricardo Leon Micaela's father was arrested for hiding the confiscated motorcycle. Pharmacist Franco Acosta was charged for deleting CCTV footage and allegedly providing illegal abortion drugs. The autopsy confirmed that Maria had been brutally attacked while still alive, completely contradicting the perpetrator's statements. On June 2nd, prosecutor Novia led a team to thoroughly search the vacant lot where the body was found. They discovered a smashed mobile phone hidden under the grass, likely belonging to Maria. The screen was shattered, deformed, and the memory card was missing. Though the data could not be retrieved, the phone served as crucial physical evidence supporting the theory that the perpetrator had seized and destroyed Maria's phone to prevent her from calling for help. Additionally, the search team recovered charred fragments of a school uniform, a burnt female flip-flop, and several pill containers around the scene. All items were sealed for forensic analysis and cross-referenced with prescriptions found at Franco's clinic. A painfully grim detail confirmed by forensic doctors during Maria's autopsy: they found a fetus of approximately 14 to 15 weeks in her womb. This confirmed that the 17-year-old teenager had killed not just one, but 2 lives. Also on June 2nd, police re-examined the perpetrator's bedroom and found a notebook with a few scribbled lines. Plan clonazepam. Gas injection. Tuesday night, eerily matching the content of the chat messages. This notebook became evidence showing the perpetrator had planned the crime in writing. Additionally, tiny traces of blood were detected with luminol in his bedroom. However, since the room had been cleaned, there wasn't enough for DNA testing. Police also investigated his parents, but after verifying they were not complicit, authorities cleared them of criminal responsibility. At this point, the full sequence of events in the case had been reconstructed. The story begins in early 2025. Maria Fernanda Benitez, then a senior at Pedro P. Pina High School in Coronel Oviedo, attended a senior event at the end of February and met a 17-year-old male student from another class. They quickly got acquainted and began a romantic relationship. Everything happened in secret because both were still students and feared that adults would forbid the relationship. However, the serious consequences of teenagers experimenting with adult matters soon became evident. Just a few weeks later, Maria discovered she was pregnant. Upon hearing this, her boyfriend panicked and opposed keeping the baby. In fact, when he saw the pregnancy test results from Maria, he angrily tore up the paper. For him, the pregnancy was a huge problem that could destroy his future. He was only 17, still in school, and could not shoulder the responsibility of being a father. Coupled with Paraguay's strict societal attitudes towards such matters, the teenager forced Maria to abort at all costs. From April to May, he repeatedly confided in and sought help from a close female friend, Micaela Chiara Yassi Rolon, 19. Tragically, Micaela not only did not stop him, but actively assisted. The two exchanged messages discussing in detail how to deal with the pregnancy. At first, Micaela suggested using drugs to induce a miscarriage, and the teenager actually gave these pills to Maria. However, this method was ineffective. Not giving up, the perpetrator considered more extreme measures. He asked Micaela how he could make Maria go somewhere and lose the baby, even saying, "I'll pay you anything if you want." This offer to pay revealed his desperation and determination to end the pregnancy at all costs. However, Micaela could not find anyone to help, and by this time Maria's pregnancy had exceeded 3 months, too far along to be solved with a few pills. Thus, the intention to abort gradually turned into an intention to kill. On May 22nd, just 5 days before the murder, he messaged Micaela asking directly what if he attacked Maria and buried her body on the plot of land next to the house. Micaela only laughed and replied, "Haha, I'm not a lawyer. I can't help you with that." But the teenager did not give up. Meanwhile, Maria, perhaps due to psychological influence or religious beliefs, decided to carry the child and accept all consequences. For the perpetrator, this was unacceptable. The more she insisted on keeping the baby, the more he saw her as an obstacle that had to be removed. Worse, Micaela devised a plan by recalling a tip a teacher jokingly mentioned in class. If you want to kill someone without being detected, inject air into their bloodstream. The victim would die from an air embolism naturally without suspicion. She even advised the perpetrator to inject only a small amount to avoid detection. On the morning of May 27, 2025, Maria left home under the pretext of attending a group assignment, but in reality she was meeting her boyfriend. He took her to Farmacia Antonio Fabian, unaware that a deadly trap had been set there. After being injected with drugs, Maria began to feel dizzy and in pain. The perpetrator brought her to his home where his parents were away. Taking advantage of the empty house, he killed her with 2 strong blows to the head. When Maria lost consciousness, he dragged her to the nearby vacant lot, covered her body with dry grass and trash, and set it on fire to destroy evidence. Afterwards, he returned home, erased traces, destroyed her phone, and hid the motorcycle at Michaela's house. By the end of May 27th, everything was done. He quietly went into hiding. Yet events unfolded so quickly that he realized he no longer had any chance to escape justice. By June 6th, 4 people had been arrested and charged the 17-year-old teenager the main perpetrator, Michaela Rolon, the accomplice who incited the crime, Franco Acosta, who deleted evidence, and Ricardo Leon, who concealed the physical evidence. The investigation was praised for being swift and effective, combining technology with traditional methods. However, the public still questioned whether Paraguayan law was strict enough when the main perpetrator was still a minor. The next legal battle would determine whether justice would be truly served. Maria Fernanda's funeral was held in a somber atmosphere of grief and outrage. Thousands of people in Coronel Oviedo carried white flowers to bid her farewell, seeing Maria as a symbol of victims of violence against women. She left behind an unborn child, leaving her parents devastated and the community in tears. During the ceremony, the image of a kind, beautiful young girl was repeatedly recalled, magnifying the sorrow. Maria Fernanda Benitez Martinez, born in 2007, was the youngest in a devout Catholic family in Coronel Oviedo. At the time, she was in 11th grade at the public school Pedro. In the eyes of others, Maria was kind and sociable, frequently participating in youth activities at the local parish and helping teach basic legal knowledge to children. Cardinal Aiden Beto Martinez often mentioned Maria as a young person active in the community with a deep faith. Classmates admired Maria for her gentle, quiet, yet friendly personality. She loved music and dreamed of attending university after graduation. Maria's family situation was relatively stable. Her father, Leonardo Merites, was self-employed, and her mother, Nilda Martinez, ran a small business. They had 3 children. Maria was the only daughter and youngest, cherished and protected by the entire family. Perhaps this is why at 17, Maria kept her pregnancy secret to avoid troubling her parents, confiding only in a few female friends for advice. Friends of Maria said that initially she was torn between aborting or keeping the baby, feeling emotionally unstable. Clearly, the 17-year-old student faced a choice far beyond her age. On one side, social pressure and fear of disappointing her parents. On the other, a conscience unwilling to take her child's life. At one point, her boyfriend persuaded her to abort, and she almost agreed. But just a day before her disappearance, Maria told a friend that she had decided to keep the baby and would become a single mother if necessary. Unexpectedly, this brave determination inadvertently placed Maria in danger, as the perpetrator saw her as an obstacle to his future. In the eyes of teachers and classmates, Maria had no conflicts with anyone except for a worried expression in recent times. She still attended classes regularly, trying to hide her pregnancy. Some friends noticed she was often tired. Once she asked to skip gym due to dizziness, but no one suspected the hidden danger posed by her cruel boyfriend. The most painful fact is that Maria had trusted the person she loved. When discovering her pregnancy, she sought him to solve the situation together, but instead of protection, she faced harsh reality. Friends said Maria once cried because her boyfriend threatened to break up if she did not abort. She fell into a state of panic, torn between love and fear. Yet in the end, the instinct of a mother made her determined to keep her child. In a short diary found in her school bag at home, Maria wrote, "I'm scared, but my child, I will try my best for you." That alone reveals how faint yet precious the maternal instinct was in this 17-year-old girl, cruelly extinguished in such a tragic way. Currently, the public is awaiting the trial to see what sentences the criminals will face. However, analyses based on Paraguayan law have already revealed several highly thought-provoking issues. First, regarding the main perpetrator. Under Paraguayan law, he will be tried under the juvenile code. The controversial point is that the maximum sentence under this law is only 8 years for any crime. This news shocked and angered the victim's family and the public. They believe 8 years is far too lenient for such a heinous crime. Essentially, he could be released at age 25, still with plenty of time to rebuild his life, a grave injustice for Maria and the unborn child who was forever lost in the flames. In contrast, the accomplices Micaela Rolon, 19 years old, Franco Antonio Acosta, the pharmacy owner, and Ricardo Andres Leon, 50 years old, were tried as adults and thus were not as fortunate. They faced much heavier sentences. Micaela Chiara Yassi Rolon was charged with multiple crimes, being an accomplice, inciting murder, promoting criminal acts, glorifying crimes, and failing to report a crime. Combined, Micaela could face at least 20 years behind bars. Franco Antonio Acosta, the pharmacy owner, would be tried for obstructing investigation and justice, and possibly for illegal abortion. Paraguayan law strictly prohibits such acts unless continuing the pregnancy endangers the mother's life. Therefore, Franco's actions severely violated the law. He could face 5 to 8 years in prison. Ricardo Andres Leon, Micaela's father, was tried for concealing evidence and obstructing arrest. Compared to the others, the severity of his actions was the lowest, so he might only serve 1 year in prison. What about you? How do you think each criminal in this case will be sentenced? Leave your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss together. And before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to support our team in bringing you even more thrilling true crime stories in the future. We hope to see you again in the next videos.